I think we're good. I think we're live.
We're live.
Yep. I can't see, but
Hello, beautiful people.
hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us live podcast with Elizabeth Roy, Breaking the Cycle, and Sahar Paz.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. I wanted to do this live podcast because I wanted to introduce you to somebody that is very dear to my heart.
Love you.
Love you too.
Don't let us cry.
And as you can see, this is going to be a fun episode because we do something very different. We're supposed to be sitting on these chairs. That's not going to work for us. Not today. I want to tell a little bit about how we met. I was invited to one of your speaking events, and that was the first time when I heard about you. And this was about finding your voice. Mm-hmm. That event was amazing. You had a whole group of women that came in. They spoke about their life. And I remember sitting at the front row and I was just listening. And in the back of my head, I was like, you know, when you're like, their stories resonate with yours and you're just going, mm-hmm. That was me the whole entire time. I think I might have left that event with my neck hurting because I kept on going like this the whole time. But something was very transformative on that day. Not only I left with this book that says Find Your Voice, it resonated so much with me that this book helped me to guide myself to find my voice.
Amazing.
And then that transformed into part of Elizabeth Roy collection.
Wow. Break
the Cycle. And your voice,
look at that thumbs up.
Your voice has power.
Yeah.
Which is one of my slogans now.
Yeah.
And that's something that we all can relate to with everything that happens in life, especially what's happening today.
Yes.
Being able to speak up, advocate for yourself.
Yes.
But you have to be able to dig in there, take it out, right? And I think most of the times, finding your voice, it doesn't happen so much for advocating for yourself, but the necessity and the responsibility that we feel to advocate for others.
Yeah.
Because of what we've gone through.
Yeah.
If you don't have this book, you can still get it, right?
Yeah.
Where can they find this book?
You can find it on Amazon. Okay. You can also message me if you want to get it from me directly, but it's there. You know, I know a lot of us are cutting off our Amazon and Prime and not trying to support Jeff Bezos. However, it is still there, or you can message me
Or you can message me too.
Yeah.
And I will make sure that I get you a copy. So that's just a little bit of how we met. Then the rest of it is history, because when I was starting my business of Elizabeth Roy Collection at that time, I needed guidance. And I am a huge fan of you. I'm a huge fan of your authenticity, your light, and your ability to see in others what sometimes we're not able to see in ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what you did for me. I remember messaging you and saying, hey, can you be my mentor?
Yeah.
And I really hesitated because I knew you were so busy. You were doing so much. And I just felt like this was just my insecurities, right? I felt like, why would she want to mentor me? I mean, she's mentoring all these high profile people, and how would she even, or how the heck am I going to pay her? Mm-hmm. Right? But we were able to work things out, exchange of energy and abundance. Mm-hmm. And you really gave me that push, and you were my first mentor, and I really honored that. And, you know, I'm at loss of words right now to be able to tell people how much you mean in my life and our friendship. Yeah. And I want people to be able to see you and be able to get to know you like I know you, because she is a powerhouse.
So many of us are. And I think that's why I invested my time in you. One thing I think we know as women, like, there's a lot to do and we can't do it on our own. And we're so much stronger together. And so there's first of all, I'm not advocating for women to work for free. Absolutely not. But that's why we did that energy exchange, Anyhow, so there's a a brilliant medium where you can make sure that you're respecting your boundaries. You're not trying to give everything and be everything to everybody, but also pouring into people. And one of the things that I really recognize is when someone asks me to do something for free or to mentor, I'm looking at, is this person ready? Are they ready to come to action, or is this going to be pouring into a cup that has a little hole in it? You know, and she was so ready. She was so ready. I could feel that. So I just leave that with you, because there's so many people that are wanting mentors and help, but you got to make sure, like, if you're going to be pouring energy, are they ready to do something with it? Or is it just going to be, you know, dimming your light?
Yeah. So. And then that goes to represent also, knowing your worth, right? Understanding that you have a lot of value to give, but no, you're not going to spend hours and hours giving this value. And like you say, that other person is not ready to receive it. It's not going to go anywhere. And it's going to end up feeling you or me tired with no outcome. Yeah. So I want to start with a couple of questions. You've been very transparent on your journey of everything that has been happening with you, in your business and, with your health. And I admire that, because not everybody it's as open or ready to share, to help others. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey on how your experiences with everything that has been going on health-wise, how were you able to approach it with such emotional intelligence and, you know, in the spirituality? How did that help you?
Yeah. I think the first thing I'm going to talk about is, like, why have I been so transparent? And I think a big thing that when we isolate ourselves as women, there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes from that. And it was hard. It's been hard to share my story, from Find Your Voice, talking about being, you know, immigrant, refugee of war, the abuse and assault that I've survived. But I knew that if I did that, as hard as it was, that somebody else would say, okay, I'm not alone. I don't need to feel shame. Somebody else has gone through it. You know, so that you take the power away from guilt, shame, and other people, like, blaming you. So that's a big thing. All that stuff that I just shared with you, all that trauma, my body stored. I may have emotionally processed it, but my nervous system, my body had still stored it. And so just last week, I got the great news that I'm 90% free of cancer.
Woo! We're going to celebrate.
We're celebrating.
We're going to celebrate.
One of my friends said, listen, you've been doing this battle for almost 4 years. You need to celebrate for damn near that long. So we're going to be doing that. But one of the things I recognized is that I had been in fight or flight for so long. Even though I had emotionally processed things, my body didn't forget. My nervous system didn't forget. My brain pathways didn't forget. And so when you're in fight or flight so long, you actually freeze. And guess what froze? My immune system. So it wasn't recognizing the diagnosis in my body. So this isn't just about a cancer journey. You can have an autoimmune journey. You can have infertility. You can have issues with fatigue. It's really understanding, like, what's going on with your nervous system. And the first 2 years of my battle, I didn't come out with it. Everyone thought, like, oh, you just got a great new haircut. Meanwhile, I'm totally bald, wearing wigs and things of that nature. And in those first 2 years, I was also in shock. It's overwhelming. Deciding, do I want to fight? How do I want to fight? You know, what is really causing this? What is really causing this disease? So, emotional intelligence helped me hands down. What Find Your Voice really is about emotional intelligence. It's about being able to understand that voice on the inside, pausing, and choosing your narrative. Like I say, you're the shero of the story. I have a tattoo in Farsi, my native language, that says you are the shero of the story, because it is that. So I was able to decide, what does being a shero look like for this journey? And it meant knowing that my diagnosis, even when they told me it was life or death, it meant pausing. So emotional intelligence is self-awareness. Can I evaluate it? Then make a decision.
How do you get there? How do you get to say, I can grow, or I can, develop, or my emotional intelligence? Because I feel we use it a lot, right? But we all have it. We have to work at it, right? So what do you have to do to be able to do that?
Be patient with yourself first and foremost. But you already know women have this innate intelligence. So you already know that when you are about to go do something you really want to do, or let me just start in the basics. When you wake up in the morning, what's your state of mind? What are you telling yourself? What are you doing? Is it your to-do list? Are you excited for the day? Are you talking yourself out of things? Are you wishing a big part of it? And then you get to choose and say, okay, I woke up in this state of mind. Is that the choice I'm making for today? And there's a thing, that magic that happens when you write something down. I'm not expecting you to sit and journal for hours and hours, but even if you put it in your smartphone, like, I woke up thinking this way and I choose not to think that anymore. And throughout the day, we could think of up to 70,000 thoughts. So if you can choose for that day to not think that one thought, even if it's, literally when the doctors told me that you have 2 to 5 years left to live, there's a crazy fear that comes into your mind and body. And when that thought would come out millions of times in a day, I would say, I'm not choosing that. I'm not choosing that. I'm not choosing that. So really, emotional intelligence, the first step is catching it. So the morning time is a great time to check in with yourself. It could be any time in the day, but if there's a certain thing that keeps coming up for you, and say, I am not choosing that. Like when you first came here, there was something you were talking to me about. You were like, old Elizabeth who just want to run, and you're saying, pump your brakes,
Yeah.
So you're choosing.
Yeah. Being conscious, right, of your thoughts. Because, if we go to bed late and we know that we have to get up super early in the morning and you already have a routine, and let's say you're in a rush, you get out and you just go. We're so used to being always on the go that it's always for somebody else. And we don't take that pause to say in the morning, just the same way that I can schedule things, schedule the thoughts in my mind.
Yes. I love that.
Schedule the thoughts in your mind and say, what do I want my day to look like? You don't have control over whatever happens with anybody else on the outside, but you do have control on how you want to start your day. What do you want out of the day? And then how you're going to act in response to somebody else, not react, but act in response, to somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's really important. One of the things that I've been practicing, it is getting rid of the negative thoughts, because for me, that's part of my breaking the cycle. Anything that bombards me in the morning, or when something happens with anybody else, business, personal, or, friendships, my mind immediately goes to the worst case scenario, thinking that if I prepare myself to the worst thing that could happen, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
But it's not that way.
No, we call that voice Black and White Betty.
Esa Betty.
It's win or lose.
Yeah.
She's a cabrona. Right? So I think what you're bringing up, and, we need to make this fun for ourselves, right? So if you can begin, everyone's heard of like a negative Nancy or whatever, right? Like if you can begin to name that personality on the inside, you can begin to detach from her. Right?
Yes.
So, and have some fun with it. And that's a big practice in Find Your Voice. Like you need to actually name that voice so that you can begin to detach from her and catch her. Be like, all right, listen, Betty.
So in other words, if those of you that need like slow process to understand this, it's like we hear all these voices in our head. We have the one that es so chingona, like you're going to do this, you're going to make it work. And then you have the other one that says, hombre, nobody's going to listen to you. What if that doesn't happen to you? So those are not two personalities, but two voices that you name. You put a name to it so that you can invite that chingona to come in every morning and talk to you. But the other one, you close the door. Hey, I don't have time for you today.
Yeah.
That's what it means, right?
Exactly. And I think we focus on the negative and the can't do, and literally our brain is designed to look out for us. But what if you named a voice that was like your hype woman? Mm-hmm. Right? So what if you spent just as much time on the positive side rather than the negative side? And I think, as immigrants, we are designed to look out for what's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Be prepared for the worst. Mm-hmm. But can we be prepared for the best?
Eso. Can we be prepared for the best? Because somehow we feel we keep ourselves safe and secure thinking about, am I prepared for the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
But we don't prepare ourselves for the best that can happen.
Yeah. And we limit ourselves over and over, and we keep ourselves in the same cycle. We are living the same life year after year after year, even though we're eating differently, working out differently, got a new look, right? But if we're thinking the same and looking for what's going to happen wrong, we are experiencing the same life over and over and over.
How did you come to this? I know there was a lot of work, right? A lot of work with yourself. But did you have role models that you looked up and said, I really love what they're doing and this is where you learn from? Or did you have to do all this research and learn by yourself?
When it comes to like the cancer journey?
The cancer journey, the working on yourself, the changing, the switching the mentality of thinking more positive.
Yeah. When it came to the mentality of being more positive, I couldn't find anybody that looked like me or had a journey like me, and the Persian culture and the Latina culture is very similar. So, there was some times that I could find communities like that, but honestly, I put myself out there so much because I couldn't find anybody on that journey. I read a lot of psychology books and understood cognitive behavior, and I had to teach myself all of those things about the voice. And I also had, I tried to take my life 3 times. And so there were programs that I got into. So I didn't really have a mentor in that way. Then when it came to the cancer journey, there was a best friend of mine in high school who her mom healed herself all naturally. Her name was Eleanor. I call her one of my angels. It wasn't until a year after that I got diagnosed that I got in touch with her. And I got in touch with her, and then a couple months later she passed of natural causes. So I just felt like that was God's timing and divine. And so she was a big part of me understanding how to approach, especially at year 2, 3, and 4, because the first year was just everything, the chemo, radiation, the surgeries, everything natural, because I was in shock. I was full of fear, and I was just following what the doctors told me. I was following what they called the gold standard of care. Chemo didn't work for me. So much so that I kept telling my doctors, it's not working. It's not working. I had this little red thread, and I was measuring the mass, and I'm it's getting bigger. And finally, after 3 sessions, she listened to me, and they did an ultrasound, and they were like, wow, you know your body really well. It's not working. I donated my left breast for them to test tissue of a Middle Eastern person, because most of clinical trials is done on white tissue. And so chemo didn't work for my specific DNA. And I was like, take this tissue, take my body, and test it. So that was a very long answer to say, Eleanor, who's one of my angels and one of my guides now, was a big help, in helping, how do I steer the ship if I don't want traditional treatment anymore?
We go through the hardest part about getting a diagnosis, being able to process that, right? Figuring out how you're going to take control of that, how you're going to advocate for yourself. When that happens, then you also go through the changes of your body and how that takes a toll, but also how you have to process having to remove your breast, having to remove other parts of your body. What has been working for you, to when that happens, to make sure that you stay in your power and you keep on talking to you positively, so that that part of you does not take a toll on your body.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've really learned in this gap between Find Your Voice journey and my diagnosis is that we can talk and do talk therapy and get in touch with our inside voice. But there's this big thing, and I recently got certified in somatic movement, but it's really moving your body is huge, because your body stores that trauma. So for example, after all my surgeries, my nervous system was so affected that it retracts my veins when I try to get labs. Wow. Yeah. So I've done a lot of somatic movement, which are really, really simple movements. And I'll be coming out with some videos of that soon. And then my wardrobe. it helped me so much to begin to feel like a woman again. Like, fashion has been a big passion of mine, and I believe it's our armor. You use fashion as a huge catalyst for what you do. If you haven't checked out her line of stuff, do it. One of my favorite pieces in my closet is a jacket that she made, Own Your Story, which I love. So somatic movements, wardrobe, and then when it came to that inside voice, I had to make sure that I wasn't looking at myself through a male gaze.
Yeah.
Right. And I think Latinas have this more than any other culture because you guys are so hypersexualized. Right. And so I had to say, really, there was a time when I was like, are my pronouns even she? Like, am I a they because I don't have breasts? Like, am I still a woman because I don't have ovaries? Like, so it was a lot of like, can I see myself and look at myself? And I began to do some mirror work, like really looking at myself in the mirror. Now, these 3 points that I'm talking to you have been evolving for over the last 2 years, right? When you first get a piece of your body removed, looking in the mirror is very hard. I did have photo shoots. Shout out to Stephanie Rodriguez. That's been a mentee of mine, but also has become a dear friend. And when I was done with radiation and this whole side was burned and I still had one breast, we covered the side in crystals and we did a photo shoot. So it's really about adorning yourself, moving your body in a way that feels good, and seeing yourself through your own eyes, not through a man's eyes.
That's really important to say that. I think this is also part of, the reason why I wanted to Break the Cycle was because we tend to do all these changes to our body, wanting to look good in the eyes of somebody else, when it is not necessary, and we truly understand our own worth as a woman, what we bring to the table, who we are, the essence that we bring. And we don't need to change anything about ourselves, but to work on understanding who we are physically.
Yes.
When we look at ourselves in the mirror, learn to love every part of us.
Yes.
For the longest time, I used to hate my nose.
Me too.
I used to hate my nose, but I realized that I hated my nose so much and I wanted to have surgery because my dad, when I was younger, he used to, say that I have a big nose. And yes, my nose is a little bit larger. And in fact, sometimes now we still play around because my brother and I have the same nose. So we always say that if I have like a mustache or if I had my hair short, I look just like my brother, or my brother will look just like me. But that was part of the things that I had to heal, part of the bullying that was done at home, that I started and began, to believe that my nose needed to be changed. And just like that, I did other things that I changed. At one time, I had breast implants because I wanted that curve looking silhouette. And I felt that if I had my breast implants and my breast looked bigger, a little more perkier, I would look sexier, and therefore it would add value to me. Yeah. But just like you, at one point I was sick because of my implants, and I had to remove them. And I will tell you today that I work so much on myself that I love my boobs. So that is, part of the whole healing process. And I could go back and forth with our stories, but I want them to know about you. So tell me, remind me, hey, it's about me today, because if not, I'll keep on going.
No, and that's, collaboration, not competition. That's another beautiful thing about feminine power.
Yes. So you made a complete change when all this was happening. You made a complete change about the types of clothing that you wear, right? The fabric. And you also made a change about what you consume as eating, right? And also what you listen to, who you hang around with.
Yes, preach.
You did all of that. So I want you to tell me a little bit about how you decided to make those changes.
Yeah. So you feel like everything's out of your power, and you begin to think, what is in my power? Now, this can make you go into the deep end. It can be very overwhelming. You could build a lot of fear of like anything you eat or put on your body or whatever. So I broke it up into 3 places. Okay. What do I put in my body? What do I put on my body? And what do I put around my body? In, on, around. And I focused on one at a time, right? And one at a time could be a month long. It could take 3 months long, whatever it was. Because when I was doing all of it at the same time, what was I doing? Stressing myself out, making myself sicker. So the easiest for me was, first, what do I put on my body? So looking at cosmetics, lotions, shampoos, detergents, things of that nature that are going on my body. An app that is free, a nonprofit that I absolutely love. It's called Environmental Working Group.
Okay.
EWG. They have a free app. Put it on your phone as you're going through the grocery store. You could scan things and it could tell you on a level of 1 to 5. Does it have cancerous things? Does it have anything that's going to, even if you have allergies, things of that nature? And they have a lot of free resources on their website as well. Okay. So I started with them and I threw all my makeup out, you know, and first I started with the makeup that they suggest. And this makeup isn't that much more expensive. It's easy to find, maybe not in Ulta, Sephora, or H-E-B, but you can still find them online. So that was the easiest and the funnest part for me, was what goes on my body. So from the lotions and the makeups and things of that nature.
What about clothing? Because there are some fabrics that are better than others.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I try to cut out, because clothing can be challenging. So the cancer I had was estrogen positive. Microplastics broken down in your system, if we're digesting them or absorbing them through our skin, which is polyester and nylon, which is a lot of yoga materials and those pants we wear, and if you're especially sweating in them. Yeah. If those microplastics come in through your skin, they mimic the same makeup as estrogen. Crazy. Okay. So these are called endocrine disruptors. These are the things that mess with your cell regeneration. And these are the things that can lead to inflammation. And at the end of the day, inflammation is disease. So I began to wear more things that were cotton, more things that were loose.
Linen?
Linens and cottons. Is it, you know, do I still have polyester and nylon in my wardrobe? Yes. Do I make sure not to wear those when I'm going to be in a sweaty situation? Hell yes. Okay. So that's a really big thing. And I think when it comes to fabrics, you probably know more and can talk more about that too.
I don't know a whole lot, so I don't want to, you know, give any misinformation, but what I have heard is to concentrate on things like cotton, that they have not only they're healthier and the linen, but also they're more breathable and they have higher energy for us, you know, in the spiritual world, right? So we'll be talking about that too. Yeah. So it's what you put on. Now let's talk a little bit about when you have to go to the kitchen and you have to open up and you're like, hijo su madre, I spent a lot of money on this and now I have to clean up this too. Yeah. So what were let's say the main things that you focused to get started, not to break the bank, and also to make that change to eat healthier?
Yeah. So how you clean your food and the order you eat your food are so important. Okay. So you probably heard this before, like the outer row of the grocery store is the healthiest part for you. Anything in the middle, no bueno. Like try to do less of what's in the middle. Everything on the outside is less processed than what's on the inside.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one kind of easy way. Environmental Working Group every year puts out the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So you get to know, hey, the Dirty Dozen are the fruits and veggies that have the highest pesticides. Am I saying don't eat them? No. Am I saying go organic? If you can. If you cannot go organic, get a beautiful little bowl that's not plastic, fill it up with water, and put in baking soda and white vinegar. Okay. Let it soak for 10. And then you could rinse it, let it dry. So how you clean your food is super, super, super important. And for me, baking soda and white vinegar is the magic thing. So that becomes, you know, I wasn't always in love with the kitchen and had some issues around food and feeding my body. And that was kind of one of the layers of self-love that I had to attack. You know, growing up, there was always a lot of comments about my shape. So dealing with food in the kitchen and how to feed myself was a big, big healing journey for me as well. So how you clean your food, super important. Okay. Going back to inflammation, and that's disease, any disease, whether it's diabetes, autoimmune, or cancer. Learning the order of eating things is really great.
You got all my attention right here.
Okay.
Okay.
First of all, you need to let your body know it's time to rest and digest. So if you have a screen on and you're busy doing things, I want you to take a minute. And there, you know, what I love about Houston, it's a very spiritual town. We worship in this town and some people pray. Whether you pray or not, if you could take 3 breaths before you eat, you're telling your body, your stomach, your nervous system, it is time to rest and digest. It is time to take the nutrients in from this food. If you could look at the colors on your plate and say, thank you for nourishing my body, take those 3 breaths. Okay. So inflammation also gets caused by 2 things. High acidic food, it takes a lot of acid in your tummy to try to break it down. If you can eat something green first, you could still have the French fries. Okay.
Can I dip into like in green avocado?
You can have a green avocado. Anything that's more fibrous.
Okay.
If you eat that first, and it doesn't have to be a huge amount, but if you're willing to eat that first, you are helping that blood glucose level, the sugar and the insulin and all of that. Thelma, cancer, loves sugar. It's her gas. And when I would go to get infusions in the chemo center, and they'd be like, want a Dr. Pepper? You want a Nutty Buddy bar? That shit would blow my mind. Anyway, so the order you eat food is also really important. So some people have a probiotic before, or take a little shot of apple cider vinegar, or just have a little bit of greens, you know. Sometimes if I know I'm in a rush, I'm just grabbing a little bit of like spinach or arugula or the microgreens. I'm just biting on that before I dive in and have whatever else I'm having.
Okay.
So that's really important. So just to like sum it up, the outside of the grocery store is your best friend. Clean those veggies, vinegar and baking soda. And the order you eat veggies helps your blood sugar level, and that will help your wellness journey in general. So eat your greens first.
Yeah. I've changed too. I used to get up for many, many years. The first thing that I would drink was coffee. And then I would drink coffee, like, don't judge, but I would like not brush my teeth and drink the coffee first. So that way I can brush my teeth after and it wouldn't stain my teeth. But what I'm learning throughout the years is that coffee on an empty stomach is really messing me up with the acid and with my cortisol.
Yep. Yeah.
And so those are things that I'm trying to change. One, I don't drink coffee as much as I used to. I used to drink like 3 or 4 cups a day. Now I don't. And now I try to make sure that I eat first and then wait a little bit and then have my coffee.
Yeah.
Because as we're growing older, losing weight, it's so much harder. Having to deal with premenopause or menopause and hormones and everything that we're adding to our body doesn't help.
Yeah.
And if you go to the doctor, they want to always give you a pill for something. And if that causes something else, they give you a pill for what is causing, but now you added 2 or 3 pills.
Exactly.
And by the time you know, you're probably carrying a little bag full, like a lunchbox full of pills for everything that you need.
Yeah. My morning routine, I have a lot of steps, but you know, one of the things they asked me to cut out was coffee. And I was like, not my cafecito. And one of the things I would say is, can I live or can I live? Like shit, you know? Yeah. So what I've learned, with the help of 2 nutritionists that have been on this journey, Neda Mozoon and, Francesca Costa, a Persian and a Latina that have been, you know, having my back. But this is what I've learned from them is if I have lemon water in the morning, that detoxes. It also helps with because I don't drink my coffee black. It helps with that spike in the sugar and the insulin. So that helps. If you can have 30 grams of protein before you have your coffee, that also helps with the cortisol. Okay. So for me, that's having a drink where I put 3 scoops of protein powder. If I don't have that, I grab some walnuts and a half of aguacate. Get your avocado first thing in the morning. So, you know, if I have those 2, I'm getting some good fats or some protein, and then I have my coffee and I enjoy the hell out of it. I know it's not hurting my body. I can enjoy it in every sense of the word.
I do enjoy my coffee, and most of the time I do try to put some honey But I am working on no creamer, making little changes. You don't have to go and automatically like boom, because it's like trying to get on a diet. If you cut everything off, you're going to end up like indulging on things that you stop eating. So I do try to make small changes, and that is what has been helping me. But one of the main reasons I wanted to do this live with you was because I've noticed that there was people that could resonate with my story. And this is also your story, where we feel we carry so much shame and the weight of wondering how people are going to criticize us, that sometimes we don't talk about things, or if we need something, we don't ask for that. And I've done that many, many times. I have a hard time asking people for help because I feel like I don't want to tell people when I'm struggling. I don't want to look weak. And number two, I don't want to owe anybody anything, right? And that's something that is part of what I'm trying to heal in my own journey. For you, going through this process, what were the hardest things that you had to release and you had to let go of?
Yeah. One of my friends told me this, and it really hit home, was when you don't allow someone to help you, you're actually robbing them of that. And it feels, I mean, most of us are on the end of helping others, and it feels so good. Like we're literally getting a dopamine hit, right? So that really stuck with me, because you can hear all the time, you got to ask for help. I'm here for you, yada, 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 yada. And I was also, I began to cut the cancers out of my life. So a lot of people were asking to help me, but I was very particular in like who I'm going to have. And I named my cancer, I had two masses, Thelma and Louise, because I knew hearing that word over and over and over was going to be hard. And that also goes in hand with having the people in your life. The asking for help of the right people was a huge thing that I had to overcome. And, I often say that cancer was my teacher. And when I got the freedom of the diagnosis last week, I just have a little bit left to overcome. I knew that my teacher had taught me all the lessons that I needed to learn. So, asking for help doesn't have to be big things. It could be small moments within the day.
I was talking to some people and they say, I've always been told, if something happens, like keep it to yourself. People sometimes they just want to know because they want to know, they want to create gossip, or sometimes they just want to know what's going on in your life. And I learned that sometimes speaking about it, it's healing to you. It's healing to other people around you, because they get to hear your story and they learn from it. They might learn how to speak for themselves, how to advocate for themselves, or things that they didn't know about the process. But you also allow them not only to help you out, but they can pray for you, And so if you are struggling with something, whether it's depression or an illness or, whatever, you're feeling lonely, it is okay to speak up about it. The people that are meant to be by your side and help you will be there.
Yeah.
And the people that tend to be more on the opposite side or negativity, you don't pay attention to that, because at the end of the day, you only get to observe and bring into you those things that benefit you the most. And so I just want to say that, I am very proud of you for reaching out. I'm very proud of you for making me part of being able to help in any way. I always say I'm only a phone call away. We don't live so far away from one another, but I feel like everything that you've done for me, I've just done a little bit for you. But we're here for one another.
Yeah.
And you speaking about your journey, you're helping a lot of people to start healing, but also to start looking at the things that they can change, that maybe it's so overwhelming at times that you don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
So you clean your closet, you clean your kitchen, but you also clean the people that you surround yourself with. And you have to be in a place where you feel at peace with yourself. So tell me about, how were you able to block the noise around you so that you could focus on yourself.
Yeah. One thing I want to tell you that sometimes it's not about paying it back, it's about paying it forward. So I want you to know that, like, there's no measurement to be kept of like the energy exchange. I love you, and
thank you.
Just, you know, what I see you doing out there is payment enough. Like, I'm like, yeah, dale diosa, let's do it. So sometimes it's not about paying it back, paying it forward. And just a quick thing is, like, it's good to share your story with people who have that safe environment, but make sure you're not re-victimizing yourself and keeping yourself in that loop. Yes. That's really important. So sorry.
About how you, clean your surrounding, or you were able to detox maybe friendships or people that were not helping you in this time of healing.
Yeah. I think it's really easy it's not easy, but deciding it became really easy. I was like, am I going to feel more energized after I hang out with this person? Or am I going to feel depleted when I hang out with this person? Am I doing this because there's the old people pleaser in me? Or, you know, also our cultures are similar of like having respect, right? Like all of that. So it became really simple. And I thank my diagnosis, because when you have chemo and radiation, you're exhausted. So you literally don't have the energy. So it became very easy. So I think that's very, you know, for those that don't have a diagnosis, like, is this going to dim my light or make me brighter? This thumbs up that keeps coming up. It's funny. So that's really a simple question to ask yourself. And then being able to just practice the saying no without the explanation.
And this also includes family members, not just friends, because not everybody is supportive when, you know, you have to go through a certain journey of healing, and that this doesn't have to be also an illness like, you know, the C word, right? Because we don't like to name it, but it doesn't have to be something like that. It can be anything where you feel that maybe you have to reclaim your peace, so that you can begin to center yourself and really take care of you. Because we talked about this several times. If you don't take care of you and you don't fill your cup, how you're gonna give to somebody else? And it is when you're surrounded with a lot of people, you're able to see the people that drain you, and the people that leave you feeling more energized.
Exactly. And you just have to do it, right? Like, nothing we're saying here is new, but this is an opportunity for you to hear it again, and you have to decide. You have to decide. And it's going to feel scary. And we've set up a lot of these relationships for this safety. And what you're actually doing is taking your body and your nervous system back into this place that's not serving you. And your intuition, your body already knows it. If your stomach gets tight, or you just feel like yourself slump or drain, or other parts of your body that may speak to you. For some people, it's the shoulders, stomach, back, headaches. Your body is speaking to you. You just have to decide. You have to decide, I'm not doing this. And you don't owe anybody an explanation. And, you know, I had a lot of family members that work in the medical field. So I was just tell them, I'm sorry, I'm not up for talking. I'm not, especially as I started to go into a more spiritual route of healing myself. I didn't want the doubt to come. So I was protecting my magic.
Respecting your space and your time is so important. You know, I think a lot of people don't understand about boundaries. But if you give yourself freely to everybody, you're going to end up feeling depleted. In every sense of the word. So having your boundaries where you say, because there's times where I want to send you a text and I immediately see that you have silenced your phone, and I like, either it's an emergency and I send it and you see it when you see it, or I'm like, okay, she silenced her phone, I'm just going to go ahead and wait, you know. But that's just me understanding what you're going through. And if it's that important, then, you know, I'll probably have to call you. But if not, it's respecting your space.
And send me the text anyway. That's what. Do not disturb. If you haven't used it, highly recommend.
We have to do the focus. I'm learning through other friends too that, you know, when I'm working on something, I do place my phone on focus, because I have ADHD and I get distracted with like, oh, look at the fly, or look at the bird. And then like, that's it. Right. So I've been able to stay focused. It must be the Persian tea that you gave me today. You're always going to see me drinking tea or drinking coffee, because I want these conversations to be a place where it's just like a coffee talk, right? But where we're sharing our knowledge, we're sharing our stories, because I know that there's somebody out there is going to benefit from what we're going through.
Yeah.
And everything that you shared today was like so valuable. And I thank you for that. I thank you for, allowing me to come into your space. Her house is gorgeous. And her dog, Rico Sabroso, I call him Rico Sabroso. He's really calm, super calm. I'm Titi Elizabeth for him.
That's right.
So I thank you for allowing me to come into your place. It smells delicious. It feels delicious. Yes. And I love being around you.
I love having you here.
Yes. So I want people to know, where can they find you?
Yeah.
And then what is next? Because I know there's some exciting news too that you want to share with us. So where can they find you? Excited. And what's next for Sahar Paz?
Thank you. Obviously, Sahar Paz on Instagram. You can also find me on TikTok as Sahar Paz. What I'm starting, which I'm very excited about, is the House of Paz. So it's going to start as just content and a Substack that's going to talk about the 3 pillars that really got me here on this wellness journey. It's not about cancer. It's about wellness. It's about peace of mind. And we're going to have 3 pillars. First is words. So there's going to be journals, mini books, understanding the words that you use inside and outside. And there's this whole pillar of wellness. It's going to be talking about little tips and tricks. I'm going to also come out with meditations. Okay. We didn't get to talk about it, but meditation's been a huge part of my journey. And then the last pillar is wonder. So for you to have that curiosity, how can I use fashion to feel better? Or is it art? Or is it somatic movement? So I'm so excited. There's going to be out in the next couple months. So just follow me on Instagram, and I'll be releasing House of Paz information soon.
I will be linking your profile on the information too. But House of Paz.
Yeah.
Paz is peace, right? And so can you imagine powerhouse of peace?
Powerhouse of peace.
So if you're not following, my friend, I strongly encourage you to do so. And I will be the first one. Sign me up for all 3.
Let's do it.
Because I want to be present and I want to continue to learn. I want to be able to continue to share this space with you, because when I'm with you in this space, I feel like a better person. So I know we're feeding off of each other's energy. Yeah. And I know that people were writing something. So I want to make sure that I read that. Hey, Blanca! Woo! Choose you. And okay, Ali Solis dice, I'm a colon cancer survivor, and accepting help was so hard for me. I'm always the one giving, so it felt weird. I'm so happy that you were declared NED. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you all for this valuable information. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, there's another one. Women are so beautiful and resilient. I've been navigating autoimmune issues for years, and I hear other stories has helped me stay grounded and hopeful. Yeah, this
amazing.
Amazing. Anyway, we don't want to say goodbye, and we're not saying goodbye. See you later. You'll hear more of both of us, and maybe collaborating, working together in the future. But do not hold back. Take care of yourself. Mind, body, and soul.
Mind, body, and soul.
Make the few changes. Do not get overwhelmed, because any small change will turn, with consistency, into a huge change. Yeah. Break the cycle. How are you going to break the cycle today? Name, if you're still watching us or in the replay, name maybe 2 things that you're willing to change to break that cycle and take care of you. What do you think?
I love that. Yeah. Focus on the mind or the body, and the soul will heal.
Or one of each.
Yeah.
One of each. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll see you again with Break the Cycle with Elizabeth Roy.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.